Hey, what's up everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. I'm fresh off homework on the Minnesota Timberwolves, and of course we have one of the biggest matchups ever in the history of a regular season for the Lakers on the line. Tonight in Minnesota at the Target Center. I expect it to be a heck of a night, but I do have bad news for Minnesota Timberwolves fans. I just found this out. Naz Reid has a broken wrist and will miss significant time. This is crazy because I was sitting here doing all this homework on the Minnesota Timberwolves. And then I was going to make the video and something told me, yo, check the injury report. I'm like, all of our guys are good for the most part. I know that we're fine. And I didn't hear of any injuries last night in Minnesota. But my first mind told me to check that injury report. And sure enough, I was going to get on here and talk about Naz Reid being the number one guy that I'm focused on because I'm worried about his three-point shooting. And he's playing so well. He's basically breaking out in his fourth season. But he broke his wrist last night or the night before against the Phoenix Suns, so he's going to be out. And that is horrible for him, and we wish him a speedy recovery. That's one of my favorite young players in this entire league, so I'm definitely not happy about that. But as a Laker fan, I do not want him out there. So I will welcome his absence just the same. This is a situation where we needed their centers to be removed from the lineup. We need somebody big not in that lineup to help us because we just, quite frankly, don't match up well with them when they're fully healthy. With Naz Reid, Karl Towns, Rudy Gobert, Kyle Anderson, and all those guys that are lengthy, Taurean Prince, they can all rebound the ball. So we need to be able to kind of, have some success with our bigs in spite of their size advantage. And I just feel like Naz being removed can definitely be a benefit to the Lakers in that regard. So, yeah, we will take that. The Lakers are coming off a win against the Chicago Bulls. We're really impressed with ultimately how our starting unit came out, even though I literally didn't see it. And everybody who knows me knows I missed the first quarter for the most part. But it's one of those situations where I was able to understand that we did a situation where we did a hockey substitution pattern type of thing where everybody came out except for one person. And we subbed in a unit that didn't really work for us. It's a unit that never played with one another and a unit that we surmise can't really make for one another. So we hope that we see some changes there going into this game because we just didn't feel like we could sustain any lead that the great starting lineup gives us if we sub with those combination of players, particularly if you're not staggering out playmakers and various different things that will help you on the floor, what it is you're looking at. Now, granted, I tend to have a little more variety of things that I expect to see than probably what is actually out there. Teams tend to behave as they should, meaning you're going to have small forwards in small forward positions. You're not going to have all types of randomness going on the floor for which you have to keep as many variables in mind as maybe I tend to think. But nevertheless, I do want us to kind of make ourselves as a little less predictable than maybe most teams would be, in a sense that we have combinations of players that we can use in a million different variations and ways. And I see opportunities for us to find length and defensive lineups, better free throw lineups, even just various different things that I think I see combinations of that I would like us to try to use, that I've brought up in various videos that I've talked about over the last several days. So I'm not mad at us subbing out 5 guys or 4 guys if that's going to be how we sub normally, if we're just going to turn into a hockey sub team and we love our starting unit that much and we don't ever want them not to play with one another. That can be a thing. But at the same time, it's like you don't want to have too many preconceived notions about what could be out there, because even though teams do behave pretty much uniformly, there are some things that could be unpredictable, and you do want to be able to adjust to those in-game adjustments. And so that's where my mind has gone as of late. I just want to see us put an emphasis on in-game adjustments and better substitution patterns. So what have I learned about the Minnesota Timberwolves? Well, what I've learned about the Minnesota Timberwolves is that they've been on a roll lately. They did lose to the Phoenix Suns in their last matchup, where Rudy Gobert mentioned that he did not like how the game was officiated. He felt like they were trying to help the Suns win by sending them to the free throw line a lot. Well, he really going to hate playing against us because we go to the line more than anybody else in the entire league. We damn near double everybody's free throw percentage every night. And that's just what it is. You don't like it? Too bad. Deal with it. And that's what it is. So, as we know, the Los Angeles Lakers are going to be driving at the rim, and they have Twin Towers are going to try to keep us from that. But the good thing is they got Luka Garza coming in as their backup center instead of Naz Reid, which means they're probably going to want to stagger Karl Towns and and Rudy Gobert a bit more than they would have normally. They don't want to risk putting those boys in foul trouble at the same time. Can you see a situation where they both got 2 fouls in the first quarter? I can, and that's exactly what I want the Lakers to try to draw. If we can get Karl Towns and Rudy Gobert off the floor, ain't no Nas Reed out there. It's Luka Garza. We're going to dunk on him all day. Problem is, the likelihood we get both of them in foul trouble, it's probably not too high because they're very good players and they know what the heck they're doing. But they don't have that backup there that allows them to have their regular rotation, so they are going to be thrown off massively by the absence of Nas Reed. And they were not prepared to have to make an adjustment like that, especially with him coming off the bench, hitting shots, averaging 15 points, rebounding the ball, all different types of stuff that he's contributing to. He is definitely going to be missed out there. And I don't know that they can get as far as they want to go without Nas Reed. In fact, I'm pretty certain they're not the same team. So this is a situation where you got Karl Towns still trying to find his wind. He's been back for about 4 games now. 3 or 4 games now, and he's played pretty well. In fact, he's had a massive impact on some of these games too. So we got to respect this is the greatest 3-point shooting center in the history of the NBA. Make no mistake about it. The numbers will back that up. He's the guy. It's him. It's Karl. And we're going to have to respect his ability to stretch the floor. We got to respect the fact that he's like 7'2", and he could shoot over anybody. So if we don't have our centers on the floor to try to combat him, and if we're not trying to attack him and get him off the floor organically by way of foul trouble, then we're probably going to have issues with rebounding the ball and defending him on the perimeter. Now, the thing about them on the perimeter is in the last game, they attempted a bit too many threes against the Phoenix Suns and turned the ball over about 21 times. On top of that, it's hard to win that way. And then on top of that, of course, the Suns shot twice as many free throws as they did. But when you consider how many times they gave the ball to the Suns, I mean, you can't really not take that into account, right? So all in all, I just felt like, you attempt 36 3-point shots and you normally only attempt like 26. You upped your attempts and then turned the ball over more. So yeah, you weren't going to win that game, Timberwolves, and I hope that you do that again against us tonight so we can take advantage of it as well. The Lakers are continuing to do what we do. Like I said, we get into the free throw line, man. Better, more so than everybody. And a big to do with that is just the way that we attack. Bron is back. His jump shot's here, which means he's going to be looking to do all the different things that Bron does. So I think the Timberwolves are in a bit of trouble dealing with the King now that he is back and fully got his jump shot falling. With that being said, he's still trying to find his wind and all of these different things, particularly on the defensive end. So I'm curious to see how we're able to fare defensively when we put him on the floor with certain rotations. But all in all, this is going to be about trying to contain the size of those guys, rebounding over them, making sure that they don't have so many second chance points with offensive rebounds. That was my problem against the Minnesota Timberwolves when we played them about a month ago. We gave up way too many offensive rebounds. We allowed them to continue to attack us in the paint without giving ourselves enough size to make it make sense. We set players we had no business sitting in that game that would have given us size advantages and went with players who couldn't, as usual, and we got the results of that as usual. So if we want to go small against this team, or if we think that not taking this team very seriously is a smart idea, then obviously we're not meeting the circumstances in front of us, given the fact that these two teams share a record and are trying to vie for the 7th position in the playoffs with only 7 games left. So we absolutely need to win this game. This is the biggest game of the season. I do believe if we win this game, we'll get the tiebreaker. I believe that. I didn't check. I should have checked. But all in all, this is a Minnesota team that we've already lost to in the last couple of weeks. So we need to make them pay, get our lick back. This is their building. We're coming into Minnesota. We know how the energy is there. We also know we got a few players who played for this team on our team right now. D'Angelo Russell, Vanderbilt, and Malik Beasley all were Timberwolves last year in the playoffs with this team, and Beverly last year. So they have roots in this building, and the players on that team know them, and they know those players. So I'm hopeful that works in our favor, particularly in trying to guard guys like Anthony Edwards, the heart and soul, if you ask me, of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Baby Michael Jordan. He rolled his ankle pretty bad about a month ago and shook that off and was back about 2 weeks after that. And he's back playing really, really good ball. Now, he can be inefficient at times, but you got to be careful with this guy because he doesn't really have too many holes in his game. Not honestly. He can play make if he needs to. He can play defense for sure. He can jump over people. He can jump on top of people. He can dunk you in the rim with the ball. No problem. It's that type of power in this kid. And he's one of the most ferocious athletes this game has ever seen already. And so what I say about Anthony Edwards is you just got to be careful with him because he's the type of guy to where if he gets hot, he has a very special gift. He's going to stay hot. And when I say a special gift, he's one of those people where I made 3, I can make 9. in a row. If I see 3 fall, that rhythm stays with me, and all of them may fall after that. He's one of those guys, man. I've watched him get hot, and he can get a lot hotter than that. So Anthony Edwards doesn't have a ceiling. He doesn't. He's out in the atmosphere. He just needs to continue to refine his game, and the Timberwolves need to continue to put players around him that can help him get to championships. And I think he can define himself as whatever he's going to be, whatever type of winner he's going to be. This could be year 1 of the Minnesota Timberwolves, and so in my mind, it's up to us to try to keep him from overachieving by pushing him further down the playoff, picture, and ultimately making it so that the Timberwolves are in the play-in tournament. We want them there, and we want ourselves out of here. So that means we need to climb up into 7th place and above 7th place by winning the rest of our games, and this game is no exception. At the end of the day, I want us to take advantage of Rudy Gobert. He is not a scoring center, and he's not the greatest defensive center at this point either. So I want guys like, D'Angelo Russell to take advantage of him. You're the guards that can do so. Bring him out to the perimeter, dance on this dude, and do things that little people do to big people when they dare try to guard them. That's what I want to see us do. Take advantage of the ability to dance on that man. And create plays off of that. You pull him out to the perimeter as far as he can get and create as much space as possible in the paint. Karl Towns is not a defensive center. Not at all. He's going to be fouling people. He's going to be easy to push around for a guy like Anthony Davis, in my humble opinion. I got respect for Karl Towns on the offensive end, but on the defensive side, he's always needed a guy like Rudy Gobert, and that's exactly why he's there. We need to get Rudy Gobert in foul trouble, and this team will not be as good defensively in the paint. Now, he's roaming around as a forward, just like we want Anthony Davis to be, even though we always ask Anthony to play the 5. I don't know how that's going to work tonight. But at the end of the day, he's in a very comfortable spot to be able to pick apart teams shooting jumpers, and that's exactly what he's good at. He can also get in the paint, dunk, obviously, all the different things that a center can do. He's not deficient in the open court. He kind of runs pretty well. He's coming back from injury, so he doesn't quite have his stride yet. But I do expect that he'll be fantastic from the free throw line and various different things that just hurt you with him being so tall and so capable of shooting. So, they're playing for their playoff lives just like we are. Like I said, we're in the same situation. Both of these teams must win, and the Timberwolves have been winning. They beat the Kings at home. They beat the Warriors at home. They beat the Hawks in their building. Let me make this clear. The Warriors and the Kings, they beat on the road in a 2-game or 3-game road trip that ended with them losing this game in Phoenix, and they're headed back home now to play us for the first time since playing the Hawks, as to which they were able to win that Hawks game as well. So I watched highlights on all of those games, and one thing I could take from this Minnesota Timberwolves team is that they're going to miss Nas Reed because he was such a big part of everything that they did in all of those games. You got to respect Mike Conley and the plays that he's making, the style that he's playing with. He's on a string with Minnesota. He is running their point guard position really, really well right now. Some of the passes that he's making, extra passes, things like that. He's playing great. Jaden McDaniels is taking steps forward since they've moved on from certain forwards, including Vanderbilt. That's opened up the door for him to have more of a role. I think he's starting now at the power forward position. Or can't be. He can't be starting the power forward position. He might be starting the small forward position. But I'm not really sure how they use him in rotation as of yet. But it seemed to me that he was at the beginning of games. He was very much impactful. It's probably averaging like 15 points, 12 points for them or something like that. Definitely an athletic player. Definitely a defensive player. Somebody who you cannot play around with, dribbling funny around him. None of that. He is one of their best defenders. And he is definitely going to be somebody that they're going to try to hound our guards with. Just wait for it. It's coming. They use him just like Vanderbilt. He was the other half of that menace terrorizing bench that they had last year. And, I expect the world from Jaden McDaniels. I know what he can do. And I know he's playing for his playoff life. And that is a very important role now that Nas is out. He's going to have to play even bigger. Taurean Prince, that's a guy who's really stepped up over the last couple of weeks. He ain't had a bad game in a while, man. We're going to have to pay attention to him. Usually he steps in very well for Anthony Edwards, but of course Edwards will be out there, so his role is a bit diminished. But that dude can very much step forward if for some reason he needs to, and he's having a good season. So yeah, that's where my head is. Obviously, Kyle Anderson is somebody I mention a lot when we talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves. Slow mo. He is definitely somebody who's been rebounding the ball very well, and we're gonna have to keep him off the glass. He very much complements their overall rebounding structure. He's also a passer. Someone who can shoot the ball, somebody who can put the ball on the floor, teardrops, stuff like that. Very awkward speed style, very difficult player to guard because of it. So we're going to have to keep our eyes open with him and do not take him lightly. Very easily can contribute in multiple categories and be a star on the floor from within his role. So we got to be careful with him. He is not to be toyed with. Who else? Jalen Noel, somebody we had that I would have never let go of, man. We had him on a preseason team about 3 years ago. The dude didn't miss any shots at all. I don't think I saw him miss a shot as a Laker, at all. He balled all the way out, and we just didn't keep him. We didn't value him. We didn't even look at him as a player. We just let him go to Minnesota, and he's been a good role player for them ever since. So I expect for him to take his pound of flesh out of us tonight, because he usually does. He usually plays well against the LA Lakers. So that's somebody I'm going to be looking at to probably give us some blues. Austin Rivers is a player that's not in rotation, but you guys know I believe in him as a player in these type of situations that create a lot of problems for the team he's going up against. So if they call his number, be ready for him. But he did not go in the last game with some type of illness against the Phoenix Suns. So yeah, that's where it's at. There are some other players on this Minnesota Timberwolves team that are just skipping my mind, and I hate that that's happening. But I know that Luka Garza is probably going to get his number called, given the fact that Nas is out. They're going to have to go in other directions to just try to find that backup center role that ultimately has been vacated there. Nas is playing almost like an all-star, like a six-man of the year, man. Honestly, him being removed from the lineups last minute, it works in our favor tremendously. I don't think they knew he was this. His arm was broken even this morning. I think that news just probably came out a couple hours ago. So this is devastating for them. They're going to have to adjust on the fly. They're going to have to figure out how to win these games without that piece. And he provides rebounding, scoring, and all different types of stuff that just overall makes their bench stronger. They do not have the strongest bench in the world without Nas on it. That's the reality of it. They got some really nice guys, but they needed him. He's like the Bobby Portis of what it is that their bench is about. So with him missing multiple weeks, they should be now up to really, really suffer. Now, getting Carl back, you can't almost say, okay, well, Nas was in the place of Carl, so Carl should be able to be in the place of Nas, and they should be just as good, right? If not better. But I don't think it's that simple. I really don't think it's that simple when you consider how much speed Nas brought to that position and how they don't replace that with anybody else, including Carl. It's just not that ferociousness. He can stretch the floor, but you got to ask Carl to play more minutes, and he's coming back from injury. So it's just a whole lot of bad. This is the wrong time to have Nas removed for the lineup for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, for us, we got Bron coming back. We got D'Lo coming back. So we saw what it looks like for our team when we have our full spectrum of offensive talent on the floor next to Anthony Davis. Even though we went to Malik Beasley and he didn't play very well, it did not take away from the fact that we were able to mask those mistakes with our rotations and ultimately were able to get enough points on the board to beat the Bulls. I think we need to pay attention to the fact that we turned the ball over in that game too much and ultimately allowed for too many points off of those turnovers. We can't do that against Anthony Edwards and these guys. Can't do that against Taurean Prince. Can't do that against Mike Conley. It's not going to work. You turn the ball over against them, it's going the other way. They're going to score. And it's not going to end with you winning. This team has been playing too well lately to take lightly. Like I said, they stopped the Kings from lighting the beam. They kept the Golden State Warriors from getting one off. They beat a very tough Atlanta team. And they took a Phoenix team to the brink and having not played very well at all at the end of their road trip, where I'm sure they was probably tired. So this is a team that wants to bounce back from that loss. They feel like they've tasted winning. They feel like they've been winning more so on the road against good teams, and their confidence should be extremely high going up against this Laker team, who isn't the best team they've seen over the last week. In fact, we might be the worst team they've seen over the last week. So that plays into account as well. But at the end of the day, with them missing this piece and him being as important as he's been, I think they're going to have a very tough time adjusting without him, especially this first game without him. So I like that for us. But we need our old Timberwolf players to have pride and step up and beat their old team. D'Angelo Russell, obviously, he's somebody who played very well in the last game, a plus 35, ridiculous plus minus. Just really, really helped the team all the way around, shooting the ball, creating plays for Anthony Davis, creating opportunities to rebound, getting to the line, making layups, doing all the things that you need D'Lo to do. I want to see more of that tonight against this team. Malik Beasley, I don't know if coach is going to use him the same. He said that he was going to keep his minutes in rotation. This is a building he's been comfortable in. He's coming off the worst game, arguably, of his entire career. And we also know he's dealing with some things going on off the court. But he's not taking a leave of absence, so that tells me he's ready to go. So he's going to have to, get it right. That's basically where I'm at. I understand that we're going through personal issues, but either we take some time off and handle those issues, or we get back on the board and make these shots. So that's what I'm tasking Malik Beasley to do. I don't know what your specific situation is, and I'm telling you, that's not That's not something that I'm light on. It's a very serious thing when you're dealing with personal circumstances. But this is where we find our solace, man. This is where we find our way of peace. This is how we make our bread. So at the end of the day, if we're not gonna take time away, we got to step out there with some confidence and shoot the ball like we've always done in Minnesota. And that's what I'm telling Malik Beasley. You know, I don't mind if he takes a couple games off, because honestly, I think he's helping the team if he's not out there, especially if he's shooting poorly. So I think he should take some time off, because he could definitely help his team if he's hitting shots. So, you know, it's one of those situations where it's like, it's okay to do that, man. But if you don't want to do that and you're going to play, you have to be able to hit shots or we're going to go away. And that's not a good thing for our team. We want to stick around. We want to make the playoffs. We want to make the play. We want to get out of this play-in tournament circumstance. And so it would be wise for our coach to try to get away from Malik Beasley in a game like this, where we've had the numbers tell us that he just hasn't been able to hit shots. But if we happen to call his number, I'm optimistic this could be a night where he hits 8-9 threes. Very optimistic this could be that kind of night. So I don't know. You know, I'm not putting no money on that, but if he's not going to step away, we need him to hit shots. And if coach is going to call his number, he's going to be down there to do so. So we got to keep our confidence high in whoever we use. And, you know, we just got to continue to root for our team. You know, we don't want to press the wrong buttons as fans. That's something I mentioned in the last video, reaching out to players and telling them, why didn't you hit shots? Because the shot didn't fall. What the hell you think he's going to say? Because I didn't want to make the shot. I mean, at some point in time, we just got to understand that you harassing players is not going to make it so that they perform any better for you. It's not going to make other players want to come play for you in the future. It just makes the reputation of our organization one that someone else would just rather skip on. And we already got enough reasons for people to want to skip on us right now. So let's be a better fan base as it pertains to supporting our players. Let's try to not be like others who have that reputation for not respecting people. We're better than that, I think. I was raised in this organizational culture, so I know we're better than that. And so that's where I'm at with it. In the meantime, let's continue to think about what we need to do to succeed. Our team is missing free throws, man. Free throws every night. Anthony Davis averages a miss of 3 free throws every night. I'm not saying you got to be perfect, but I am saying you do have a hell of a form that can hit 11 out of 14. So let's get up there and be as confident as necessary to improve our shooting percentage, not only as individuals, but as a team. A lot has been said about Vanderbilt not being able to hit threes. I don't see that. He hits threes more. He hits them about as much as Winion does. You know, so that's just something I wanted to throw in there as well. It's a lot of talk about, Vanderbilt don't hit threes. I've seen him hit that corner three more than once in his team alone. So I'm not saying he's a 3-point shooter, but I'm not ready to say that I have any problem with him being on the floor in terms of space in the floor, being able to hit a three. He's hitting threes enough for me to be happy about it. So that's just something I want to throw in. Troy Brown, you're due. Had a bad Troy Brown game yesterday. Against the Wolves. That was your one of your teams you played for a year, 2 years. I expected better. So this is a game where, this is one of those situations where I say, okay, Troy Brown, we're going to need you tonight, man. Your number's going to be called for sure. You got some serious assignments. You're going to be on Anthony Edwards sometimes. You're probably going to be on Taurean Prince other times. You're probably going to have to guard Jalen Noel, whomever. I don't know, but we're going to need you to be active tonight, particularly crashing the glass. If you can offset Kyle Anderson's rebounding particularly, you're probably going to be on him for sure. We're going to need you to do that because his length is, and his activity and his intellect. We're just going to need, Troy George tonight. Troy George. That's what I like to call him. Not Troy Brown, the Paul George version of himself. Troy George. That's who we're going to need to show up tonight and show out. Confident, Troy Brown. I like when Troy Brown is putting the ball on the ground and dunking the ball. I like when he's getting out in transition and seeing the rim. That's what I want to see Troy Brown. You got all this length, man. Grab the rim, bro. Dunk more. That's what I want to see Troy do. Dunk more. You add 2 dunks to every game, you're going to be a different player, bro. That's really what it comes down to. And I ain't saying go out there and get hurt. But add 2 easy buckets to what it is you're intending to do. Let your length be your guide. That's what I tell a guy like Troy Brown. What else? Of course, Austin Reeves, man. I've gone 24 minutes. Salute the Kobe minute, of course, without talking about Austin Reeves. And as good as he played in the last game, should have been the first person I mentioned. He hardly missed any shots. He's getting to the line repeatedly. He's making plays for others, and he's finishing plays defensively by drawing fouls as he does. We just need to put the ball in his hands and trust him to draw the fouls that other players will not draw. Brown ain't going to always get his calls driving at the rim, but Austin is. So we need to respect that and continue to give him the ball. The Minnesota Timberwolves had to suffer Booker going to the line, I think 14 out of 16 times in the last game. That was the bulk of the free throw shooting that he was complaining about, Rudy was. I think that's a recipe for success for us, but we need to make sure that the guy the referees like is the guy doing the driving. Schroeder tends to get his calls as well. Schroeder gets to the line 7 out of 8 times on a good night. That's what we need. Schroeder driving at the rim, getting Rudy and Carl in foul trouble. I know that's a tall task. Those are tall people. But we need to sacrifice our bodies tonight because we need those boys to get in foul trouble. We need them. We need them sitting down. We want to see Luka Garza. You understand what I'm saying? Because ain't no Nas. So we got to get these tall guys out of here. That's what I want to see. Rudy Gobert. I want D'Angelo Russell to put Rudy Gobert in a blender tonight. That's your old player. Actually, he never played with him, I don't think. Yeah, maybe a couple of weeks this season, maybe. I think that's how that went. But regardless, put that boy in a blender. Put him in a blender. Dance, 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 shoot over him and make plays off of him. But bring him outside and put him in a blender. So that's what I want to see, man. I just want to see our team get this victory. Obviously, it's the most important victory of the season. I don't think I've even put enough of an emphasis on how important this game is. Really, it's a have to win. Must doesn't even put enough emphasis on it. You just have to win. you gotta win this game. You can't be the one that lost this one. And so that's why I'm looking at the Kang. I am looking LeBron James directly at you, man, because at the end of the day, you've hit so many jump shots in that last game that just gave me so much confidence that the jumper is back. I want to see that fall tonight. I don't want him to settle for it per se, but I do want to see LeBron James in his bag tonight because it's a must-win game. And the one thing that we've been missing throughout this process of these must-win games is LeBron James. All these games we've been talking about, we got to win, we got to win. He's been hurt for all of those. So I want him to come through and get me whatever it is he can give me. I ain't going to put a number out there. We ain't doing that. But whatever he can give me, I need tonight because this is a must-win basketball game, and I don't have to ask him to show up because he's going to do that. So this is me saying I'm ready for him to do that. Anthony Davis, will you show up, please? Got to do that with you. Will you show up, please? He came through in Chicago. 38 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 steals, several assists. 11 out of 14 free throws, if I'm not mistaken. He showed up against Chicago. That's his hometown. We know he has love there. But this is the city next door. You got love there? You ready to play for them? You ready to play against them? Obviously, you're going to have 2 stilts trying to crowd you out. We know that. Rudy Gobert is going to do his best. Carl Town as well. They're going to bring length. And so we're going to need help from others, particularly our guards, to offset what their guards do. But at the end of the day, if Carl is able to outplay Anthony, then we're probably not going to get the victory. Rudy ain't going to outplay Anthony but on the boards if he does anything at all because he's not really a scorer. If you turn Rudy Gobert into a 20-point scorer, you lost. That's what happened last time we played them. We lost. I said it before the game, and it played out that way. So we can't let Rudy score like that. But Carl is going to go for 40. He's going to go for 35. What we need is for Anthony to try to keep him from doing that. We need Anthony to keep him from doing that. We need Anthony to not pick up bad fouls, friend. Not pick up bad fouls, because a lot of times he does pick up bad fouls in these situations. So we need him to stay in foul trouble, respect the foul trouble, and respect that he got to stay out of it for the betterment of both sides of the floor for our team. What else? There was something else I wanted to say about that. It skipped my mind, but I just want to see Anthony Davis definitely try to do what he can to offset those big guys and rebound the ball to the very best of his ability. And if he does that, then I think we'll be able to offset a lot of what those stilts do. Anthony Edwards, man, I just know he can be inefficient. It might be a 5 for 16 night. It might be a 9 for 9 from behind the arc night. You just don't know with a young player like this, but you do understand what his upside is, so you got to double team him when it's necessary, which is usually. If he's going to go off, he starts having one of them big nights, it could go crazy. But he's still a young player. He's still young, man. So it's a good chance he only walks out of there with like 18 points, 9 points, 5 points even. It's possible that he has a bad game, but it's even more possible that he walks out of there with more than 30 points. It's much more possible. So I would just say that we need to guard him with respect and respect the players around him too. Taurean Prince stretched the floor. Carl obviously stretched the floor. Kyle Anderson can shoot the 3, even though that's not his bag. He can do it. Jalen Noel, those guys that are slashers and 3-point shooters. Gotta respect what they're bringing off the bench as well. I just wish some of those names would come back to me. Jaden McDaniels, please understand that he's slashing and shooting threes as well, dunking the ball, trying to do things that make him look like a mini Paul George out there. We gotta pay attention to Jaden McDaniel as he continues to ascend and take on more of a responsibility in that offense. So that is key. Keeping a very close eye on him as he continues to attempt more shots and become more a focal point for him. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing also. The Minnesota Timberwolves are walking out of here with like 6 and 7 players in double figures in all of these games they've been winning. 5 players, 6 plus 7 players double figures. Usually you'll see Naz Reid down there with like 22 points, 8 rebounds, 18 points, 7 rebounds. And that being gone is going to have to be found somewhere, as we've said a million times. But all in all, they do find a lot of contributors to what it is that they do from day to day. Consistently, Conley, Gobert are really having good seasons. That synergy they've had in Utah is rearing its pretty head in Minnesota. And you couple that with some of the good play that they're getting out of the players around them, like Torian and Kyle. They just have a really nice core there, a nice starting 5. So that's really what it is. We're going to have to take care of them. Our starting 5 is fantastic now, too, if we stick with it. But our bench unit, we're not so sure about. So this could be the tale of blown leads, potentially, with their synergy being thrown off without Naz Reid and our lack of synergy with the substitution patterns. I think this could be a situation where one team has a big lead and gives it up. This could be one of those. Just off of the strength of what we're looking at there. I think this could be a battle of bad benches, potentially, depending on who's on the floor for both teams in these situations. So that is a little bit uncertain. That is uncertain. We could potentially see a nasty basketball game as it pertains to just the overall balance of what we're seeing not look so good. More turnovers than usual, more missed shots than usual, that kind of. We could be seeing stuff like that just from the rotation patterns of the other team being thrown off so bad. And Darvin, God knows what he's going to do, but we don't like usually what we see. So that coupled with that could make for an interesting night. So I don't know what to expect, but I do know that effort is what I demand. I want effort tonight. I want guys to come out and play hard. I want guys to understand the moment. I want guys to take every possession seriously. I want guys to step to the line with confidence and follow their progressions, having put in the work, years and years of work that they trust. You know what I mean? That's what it really comes down to. You've put in years and years of work that you trust. Let's rely upon it when it matters most, and this is that. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, we're going to need you guys to be strong on the defensive end. I want an emphasis on defense tonight. The Minnesota Timberwolves are a defensive team. That's what we learned about them last time we played them. They are a defense to offensive squad. They will turn you over and they will lay the ball up. So we must be respectful of that and try to give them some of that same energy. They force steals. They force turnovers. So don't have any unforced ones if possible. That's something that we need to be careful with. Their offensive rebounding is good and their defense is pretty solid. So that's where I'm at, man. They're coming off a loss. They didn't shoot that great. They lost their big bench player. We need to just see to it that they continue on this losing streak, just like the Chicago Bulls. They beat us in that first game, and the Clippers shot 20 out of 40, 3-point shots, killed them. This is a similar situation in the sense that, the Minnesota Timberwolves been winning, but they just lost. They finally lost. So now we can start the process of continuing them on a tumbling, losing path down the standings. Because they didn't win all the games they need to win. They're not a good team like that. They beat the Kings. They beat the Warriors. They got enough wins for now. Now it's time to get back down to earth. They done ran into KD and Devin Booker. That's running into a real wall. Now they about to run into LeBron James, Anthony Davis. Now they're about to run into another real wall. So that's what we just got to do. We just got to continue to pound the nail home, rather. They just lost their first game in 3 games. They don't need a new winning streak. This is the Minnesota Timberwolves. They need to continue to lose. So that's what it is that we need to force them to do. I do think these two teams are pretty even at this point. I don't think that one team is better than another necessarily. But when you consider we're getting guys back and they're losing people, I like us. I like us a lot more now than I did about an hour ago before I knew Nas was hurt. I like us. But just what it comes down to is we just got to keep our foot on the gas and overcome whatever rotational circumstances that coach does that hurts us. Rui, you're going to have to play great weak side defense, brother. You're going to have to turn yourself into a weak side defensive help guy because, that's where the deficiency is for our team. We put you next to Anthony Davis or put you next to Wenyen Gabriel or Vanderbilt. That is where you're most important, more than making baskets, more than rebounding, more than anything else. We just need that weak side help to be something that you start to study and master. So as long as you're playing the 4 spot, that's needed. I'm telling you, brother, you really want to help yourself, you incorporate weak side defensive help into your everyday thought process. And that is what this team needs. I'm always asking Rui Hachimura to do more than what it is he's functioned to do. And I don't think that is what his game actually is. He's not a do more than he is guy. That's what's so messed up about it. He's a mid-range jump shooting guy, rebounding guy who can get on the inside as well, but you don't want him to be a defensive player. You don't want him to have to make plays for other people. But in this camera, from what it is that we need from his position, we want him to turn into an all-around player. We want him to make more plays. I love the lob that he had to Anthony Davis in the last game. We want him to look for the pass where necessary, while keeping scoring first, of course. He's a shoot-first guy, and I don't want him to turn into a pass-first guy. But we do need him to be able to make the key passes to ultimately take defense off of him to make us a more unpredictable team when he's on the floor. Otherwise, we have stand-around offense while he's down there, and it just doesn't make for better basketball for us. It usually turns into a score on the other end. So we need to understand that Rui is a very important piece, and he's going to have so many more responsibilities than he's comfortable with, so long as our coach keep using him like this. So that's just what I know. What else? Vanderbilt played great in the last game after having several bad games. This is obviously his old building. I want to see Vanderbilt get a lot of steals, rebounds, shut offensive plays down. I want this to be a good Vanderbilt night. We need to be on the trajectory up with him since we've struggled so much over the last 2 weeks. So, yeah, that's what I want to see. It's time for him to step up. Just like we said, we need the Timberwolves to step down. We need Vanderbilt to do the opposite. It's time for upward trajectory from here. So that's where my head is there. Keep getting to the line. Got to make the free throws since we're getting there. Ain't no sense for us shooting 71%. If we're going to the line more than everybody else, we should be beating them every night. And that's another thing. We're getting to the line more than everybody else. How come we're shooting such a low free throw percentage, guys? You know what I'm saying? We're being blessed with opportunities to win these games at the line. And we're not shooting a respectable percentage. That's the elephant in the room. Lakers getting to the line more than everybody else. They ain't making them. So it ain't hurting you. We ain't making them. Anyway, that must be said, man. Yeah. All in all, I'm excited about this opportunity, especially with them moving a center from the matchup since we didn't sign one. I told our team to sign one. Well, it seems like the basketball gods gave us a blessing by removing one. So we're even now. But we're not going to have that happen too many times. I don't think that's going to happen when we see Utah. It ain't going to happen when we see Houston with Sengun again. All of that is coming. So, and we still got to deal with these steals tonight. 2 7-footers in the same damn lineup. So we had better. Hall of Fame centers probably. I don't know if Rudy Gobert's a Hall of Famer in my book, but in this NBA, he's definitely a Hall of Famer. Carl will be there. These guys need to be taken seriously, man. They need to be taken very seriously. They're going to rebound the ball a lot. They're going to block shots. And they're going to make it hard for you. They're going to get easy buckets. They're going to get easy buckets. So we're going to have to work that into our equation. Offensive rebounds for the Timberwolves and easy scoring for the Timberwolves is something that we need to expect. Now, how do you work around that is the equation for Darvin Ham and the LA Lakers. But that they get offensive rebounds and putbacks is something we should already have in our mind worked into the equation of the score. You're going to need to score 120 points to win tonight, LA. That's what I'm here to tell you. You're going to need 120 points to win tonight because they're going to get a lot of easy buckets at the rim if you don't get them in foul trouble. So that's what it is. You better score tonight. Let's see. What else was I going to say? You know, they've been winning games with low scores, too. We do understand that the Warrior game that they played didn't even make it to 100 points, either team. So they can win different ways. But at the end of the day, with what it is I'm looking at in my mind's eye, this is a game where we need to be looking to score a lot of points. Doesn't mean put offensive lineups on the floor to tank score, coach. That don't mean more Beasley. That don't mean Schroeder and Beasley. No. That means getting AD quicker actions in the paint, allowing him to attack in the ways that we did against Chicago. Quicker actions, more ball movement around AD. Using Rui Hachimura in size mismatch situations. Get him sealed out on a guy like Kyle Anderson. Have him shooting over Kyle Anderson and backing down a guy like that. Too big for him. You know, you want him sealed off on guys like Jalen Noel in the paint. It's too big for him. I don't know if you get those opportunities tonight, but if you can get Carl in foul trouble and Rudy in foul trouble, you may. And these are the type of things that I'm looking to do if I'm coach. I want to send Schroeder and Austin and all those guys, D'Lo, all of them. I'm sending them at the rim. I know I can get blocked. I know it's a health risk, but I have got to get those guys in foul trouble, man. I have to. LeBron James, I'm driving you at the rim, bro. We are dunking on people if we can, or we going to get knocked to the ground. Brace yourself, because we need Rudy and Carl in foul trouble. So that's where my head is, man. I'm excited about this game. I've been waiting for this game for a couple days now. You know, the Chicago matchups were important, but this was the one. This was the team that we've been watching for the last week, along with the New Orleans Pelicans and various teams like the Clippers that are involved in our play-in situation. This is one of the key teams in the entire process in regards to us. The team directly ahead of us, a half game above us. You understand what I'm saying? They are right there. And so we need to capture this victory, send them back down to where they belong, have them suffer their circumstances without one of their best players, make them pay for that. You know, that's what it really comes down to. Make them pay for everything they do wrong. Turn defense into offense tonight. We are the number one defensive team in the entire NBA. Why that doesn't translate to us defending very well from behind the arc, I do not know. But we have got to improve our perimeter defense if we want to beat this team. They may shoot too many, they may not. But we definitely know they have shooters down there, so we better respect them. Anthony Edwards, Karl Towns, you know, Conley, Pimp Prince. These guys can hit multiple threes on your head. Do not question it. Garza off the bench. Please know he shoots threes. Do not leave Luka Garza behind the arc. I know he's a center. Darvin, I know he's a center. Do not play with Luka Garza. All he do is shoot threes. That's all he do. Know that. Just like Karl. That's all he does. So I know how we like to play off of people. We don't always know who everybody is. Know who Luka Garza is. 3-point shooting center who will be on the floor likely since they don't have Naz Reid. So this is where my head is, man. That's what I like. You know, I love doing this. I love our team. I'm not overly confident, but I definitely like what we've done with the starting lineup. I don't know if it makes sense to send Austin Reeves back to the bench to make our bench stronger. I don't know. But what I can say is that starting lineup gets off to some really quick starts. It's very difficult to defeat them. If we can find a good combination of players off the bench, I think we'll be a really, really, really hard team to beat. Hard team to beat. But we just got to make our rotations make sense, man. Because the roster will do it. The roster will get it done. So, wonder where Mo Bamba is. I wonder how far along in his progress he is. I know they said that he was not going to be back until probably the playoffs, but is there any chance he's healing faster? Is there any chance? That's all I'm saying. My God, man. We need guys out here, bro. And I know this ain't a situation other than frustration. I'm not telling people to go out there and get hurt. But we need people. We need Mo Bamba tonight. I'm just telling y'all right now, if we had him out there, I feel a lot better about us. So it just is what it is, man. I'm glad D'Lo's back. Lord knows I was calling for him to come back early or whatever. I'm not proud of that. I don't want guys to play hurt, but I just understand the circumstances. And I understand if we're going to sacrifice anything, this is the time. If you're going to play hurt ever, this is the time. Because it's not just about getting into the playoffs. Well, it is definitely about just getting into the playoffs. But what I'm trying to express is once you get to the playoffs and you have to sit games, you have some cushion of those games in those playoffs. So if D'Lo has to miss game 2 of the playoffs, we're still in the playoffs. These are the games you can't afford to not be a part of, because this could keep you from getting to those moments where you have those breathers. So these games are more important to play in than some of those, is what I'm essentially trying to say. So that's where I'm at with it, man. We need everybody, all hands on deck. And our organization should have replaced Mo Bamba's position, man, so that we did not have this problem. They have failed us by not getting us a center, and I want that to be understood. This game should not have started without a center being signed today, man. Should not. There's still time. It's early in the morning right now. But I don't anticipate them doing that. It's too much like right. So anyway, that's what I got to say about that, man. I value size over here a lot more than I do a lot of aspects of basketball. Maybe that plays to my detriment. I do not know. But it ain't failed me yet. When teams have size, they usually do pretty well, or at least have an opportunity to if they do what they're supposed to. And that's what I'm here to say, man. I finally cleared up some space for those who wonder why this video is long. So I finally did that. But this is what it's about, man. I just want the LA Lakers to come out here and meet the urgency of the moment. You must win this basketball game beyond the shadow of a doubt. If you lose this game, it can have horrible ramifications on you going forward in your seeding. And so we want to have some control over our seeding, and that means we must win. So that's all there is to it, man. Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, Kyle Anderson, Taurean Prince, Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards, and a bunch of other dudes, Jalen Noel, and I wish I remembered any of them damn names back there. Somebody else back there. But the point is they're a bit thin now, man. They're a bit thin, and that's really what's going to hurt them tonight. So let's take advantage of that. Go out there, get the win, Lakers. Take care of the basketball. BDL 44. I thank you all for watching.